Hi, and welcome along to the North Lodge Cottage Garden, where I have in front of me a collection of the white roses I grow from the David Austin collections. This is not everybody that David Austin grow that's pure white or classed as being pure white. This is my top 4 for you to have in comparison to each other. 4 beautiful roses, all very different in character, but all from myself very, very highly recommended. So please don't think just because the likes of Kew Gardens, Winchester Cathedral and William and Catherine, just because they're not in the vase in front of me doesn't make them not good roses, but these are the ones that I've selected to give you comparisons of today. So very, very off the top, my favourite of all of the white roses is Tranquility. This one here is a large, beautiful white rose with lots and lots of petals. The buds have a lovely pink tinge to the outer side of them. This is a large shrub rose, bred and introduced by David Austin Roses, reaching around 5.5 to 6 feet and around 5.5 to 6 feet wide. It is absolutely huge. No other rose in my entire collection here, and that spans nearly 90 varieties in the Austin collection now. No other rose flowers more than Tranquility. So if you only have space for one white rose in your collection or in your garden, Tranquility is the one that I would choose first. It is absolutely stunning. I get asked an awful lot in, especially on my top 10 review videos, whether Tranquility has a fragrance. And I don't pick up on anything from this rose at all scent-wise. However, it is absolutely outstandingly beautiful. It flowers in such huge numbers all the way through the year that you simply cannot disregard this rose just because it doesn't have any fragrance. It cuts really well and will make it into my best for cutting range as well. So this one is Tranquility. Alongside that one is the lovely Claire Austin, which I've made my thoughts very clear on in my review video. It gets lots of attention. Claire Austin is now classified as a climbing rose, originally launched as a shrub. It produces something in the region of about 8 to 10 feet eventually. I personally don't think this rose actually climbs very well. I think it's very untidy as a climber. And for me, I prefer to grow it up a pillar, a post or an obelisk. Claire Austin is a really hard-working rose with wonderful deeply cupped blooms, which are really lovely. On the buds themselves, they're a really lovely heavy yellow cream just before they open. The blooms opening pure ivory white. Very, very romantic rose on its form and its fragrance. It does have a lovely fragrance. Has a warm myrrh fragrance, which is really very, very pleasant. Producing great big, as you can see, long, slender stems, which are virtually thornless. Again, a fantastic rose for cutting. Doesn't actually live very long in the vase. It will actually shatter apart in just a few days in the house. But don't let that stop you cutting these, because as soon as you cut them, you will have more flowers. So a really nice one for cutting because of its lovely stem length. And again, because they're completely thornless, it is a really nice one to be bringing into the house. This is Claire Austin. Alongside that, the beautiful Imogen, and the reason why she's in this collection here, it's a really interesting rose to be growing. It's very, very cream yellow in its coloration, and I've left it in this form so you can see every part of the actual flower as it opens and fades. You can see in the center here a pure white flower with a yellow center, which will blow out to a heavy cream, and then it goes the other way and the outer petals completely bleach out as it falls. Really, really lovely heart-shaped petals on a semi-open double flower. It's really, really lovely. The biggest benefit is falling apart. The biggest benefit with Imogen is actually this one will flower and grow really well in a fairly shady part of the garden. So if you do have a location in the garden that only gets around 4 to 5 hours worth of direct sunlight a day, preferably afternoon sun where it has a little bit more strength to it, but Imogen will flower really well in a shady part of the garden, often in a dry spot as well. So if you've got a particularly difficult spot in the garden, Imogen may be a rose if you're looking for a white one to consider. The next one up is absolutely stunning, and unless you bring this one again alongside the other white ones from David Austin Roses, you don't actually pick up on the beautiful colour of this one. This one is Litchfield Angel, and I'm going to bring this right in close to the camera for you so you can see it. a pure white alabaster rose with a lovely salmon peachy tinge to it. In the light, it changes colour really, really beautifully. Large buds, as you can see there, with a lovely pink streak up the outside edge, then aging to this beautiful alabaster white with this really interesting peachy tinge to it, which is really interesting, and notes of salmon there as well. There's another bloom here from Litchfield Angel. Again, you can see the colour of those two together, really, really lovely. And it's not until I line something up like Claire Austin alongside, and you can see the completely different colour hues. Pure white ivory on Claire Austin, which is this one here, and this lovely pure white alabaster with that peachy salmon tinge to it from Litchfield Angel. A really informal shrub, which again, a lot of you have messaged me saying you can't get used to and you can't handle, but I really love those large floppy plants that really spread about the garden. Litchfield Angel is going to form a really large shrub, much like the Poet's Wife and Silas Marner and maybe Mill on the Floss. It's going to get really big and floppy, and it kind of rambles about the back of the border, poking its head up here and poking its head up there. There's something beautiful, like with the Lark Ascending, with the way that Litchfield Angel catches the light. There must be something in the pigment of the actual flower that actually makes it glow resplendently, especially in the afternoon sunlight. Litchfield Angel is really rather pleasant. So in front of me, you have 4 of my best David Austin roses that are pure white. So a quick rundown again. Top notch for me, Tranquility. No rose in your garden will work as hard as this one, but it is quite big. You're going to need a little bit of space. The very tall and beautiful Claire Austin, that's going to need some support, so either put that up a wall, a piece of trellis, or a post or an obelisk. The lovely and very interesting Imogen, which will flower really well in partial shade, receiving only 4 or 5 hours worth of direct sunlight a day. And the very, very lovely and interesting Litchfield Angel with that beautiful white alabaster and that peachy pinch tinge to the centre. If there's any more roses you'd like me to talk about, please do free to leave me a comment. Make sure that you're following on Instagram, that's North Lodge Cottage Garden, or following and subscribing on YouTube. But these are just a few of the white roses. All of these ones in front of me have their own individual personal reviews by myself that are available, so please do take a look at those. Thanks so much for joining me.